I'd like to move forward with the Arts, Parks, Health, and Aging Committee. So, Mr. City Clerk, what do we have before us?
Okay, item number 1, Los Angeles Department of Aging to discuss the status of...
Before we do that, did we had a request from the Marathon Ad Hoc Committee to take that item out of order?
All right. In that case, item number 2, Los Angeles Marathon Ad Hoc Committee report relative to the 2012 Los Angeles Marathon.
Wei Lau at the CEO's office. The report before you is the pre-race progress report for the upcoming 2012 marathon, which is going to be held on March 18th. The ad hoc committee, which is jointly chaired by our office and the CLA's office, and departments supporting the events such as fire, police, street services, and DOT, has met with the LA Marathon organizers to discuss the upcoming events. There's also been departmental meetings focused on planning for the events, and these meetings are continuing. The attachments to the report provide further details on the event and the outreach to affected residents and businesses that are on the route of the event. I would also like to point out on page 3 of the first attachment, it gives you a recap of the 2011 events so you can get a sense of the scale of the events. For example, for the 2011 new events, there were over 23,000 participants. And then we have Howard Sunken.
How does that compare to the year before?
I don't have the 2010, but Howard is here from LA Marathon.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chairman. In 2010, the first year of the Stadium to the Sea course, we had roughly 25,000 participants. Last year we had 23. This year we're looking between 21 and 22. If you can promise me good weather, we'll have more.
Okay. No can do.
So this is a note and file item for the committee.
Oh, it's just note and file.
Yes, just note and file.
I do have to ask, and I'm not looking to create controversy, but the Dodgers are obviously going through a transition, and so can you sort of describe how this happens moving forward?
Sure.
I mean, we're hoping the marathon's around for forever, and we just want to make sure that this is the under the current structure that we can rely on that for well into the future.
Mr. Chairman, marathons have been around for a little while, and this one will continue to be around. Mr. McCourt is everybody knows, is the owner of the Dodgers. He's also the owner of the operating rights to the LA Marathon. You own the Los Angeles Marathon. We just operate it for the city of Los Angeles. This entity is held separately than the Dodgers. The LA Marathon, our operating rights is not for sale. There was some discussion for a while that we were going to sell it. Mr. McCourt has made the determination that it's not an asset he wants to sell. He thinks it's a vital, important part of our community, and it's our goal to continue to operate it for as many years as you'd like us to. So it's separate and distinct from the Dodgers, and what's occurring up at Dodger Stadium will have absolutely no impact.
Okay, and a couple of years ago there were some controversies. Have all of those been resolved?
Yes.
I believe so.
Yeah, they've all been resolved. And as a matter of fact, when we did our ad hoc meeting, we went through the issues from the last meeting to make sure that there would not be a repeat on anything.
Okay, great. Do we have, we have one card on this item. Mr. Sunken, did you want to add anything else?
Here to answer any questions you have.
Okay. Marcia Charney?
Hello. I'm just bringing good tidings from students around LA, and thank you very much both to the city and to the LA Marathon. We've had a wonderful 23-year partnership with the Marathon, and we will have almost 3,000 students and their teacher leaders running a week from Sunday. They look great. We're going to have over a 95% finish ratio, and as well, they will graduate from high school at that same percent and go on to college.
Now, can you guarantee good weather? You seem to, You seem to be so clear on the participation rates. I thought.
Marcia and I
Why
stood
not?
in the rain together last year. We don't want to do that again this year.
Okay,
No,
okay.
we're not going to predict the winner. They're all winners in Students Run LA.
Absolutely.
That's the good part about that.
Okay,
But-
and thank you so much again, Marcia, for
Well, thank you.
the event in my district.
We get
Uh,
great support, and
yeah.
we have wonderful support, and
We're improving the Hands and Down facility every year, and Students Run LA is an important part of that. That's exactly why we did it. 20 years ago, we couldn't do anything there,
Right.
let alone have the multiplicity of venues and activities that we have now. So thanks again, and we're looking forward to next year. Although you can't start a little later than 6 o'clock in the morning? Okay. Well,
You want me to clog up the streets longer, Richard?
thank you for being there.
okay, well, the LA Marathon is a very important event to the city of Los Angeles. We're looking forward to a tremendous event, and hopefully we'll get 30,000 people out this year.
That would be great.
Yeah, so congratulations and continued
you.
success.
Thank
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
This will be a note and file.
Yes, we'll note and file that item. Okay, we do expect Councilman Labange to be here. If and when he does arrive, we will have him add on to my actions if he so chooses. Item number 1.
Item number 1, discussion item, Los Angeles Department of Aging to discuss the status of existing efforts to facilitate financial counseling and literacy for the elderly in Los Angeles.
Good afternoon, Councilmember Laura Trejo, General Manager, Department of Aging. I'm having distributed right now some information that I prepared for this afternoon. The topic of elder economic security has been on our list of priority items for more than 5 years at the Department of Aging. We have been working not only locally but statewide and nationally to not only bring attention to the issues that older adults and their families face, but also to begin to develop innovative responses to the concerns that our seniors are facing every day. If you look at the second page where I have the chart, you will see that in Los Angeles, over half of all older persons over the age of 65 do not have enough income on a monthly basis to meet their basic needs. One of the areas that we've been focusing on is the redefinition of the federal poverty level. We believe that it's very outdated. It no longer reflects the purchasing needs of individuals, especially low-income older persons, in terms of meeting their basic needs month to month. One of the things that we've been working with is with the Health Policy Center at UCLA in developing for California the Elder Economic Index, which through our continuing advocacy in the community, we've actually got enacted into law last year. We now have regulation that requires that every area agency on aging, of which the Department of Aging is one in California, that we actually utilize economic data in prioritizing our service delivery for seniors in the community. I also took the liberty of sharing with you a project that we're very proud of. We've been working in a partnership with both Insight Institute, which is an economic development organization statewide, the National Council on Aging, and Los Angeles County on implementing a model project called Elder Connect. Elder Connect is an intensive case management-driven program that looks at individual older adults and their needs in order to bring them out of poverty, of keeping from going into poverty. And in that, we look at all of the aspects of economic security that are presented by the senior themselves, and we assess it, and we try to put into place the safety net resources and supports that may be available in the community to them. One of the things that we find with many older adults is that they really are not informed enough about the types of services that are available to help them stabilize their situation. So in this model, we're actually training social service professionals to think differently, not just about social service needs, but also the economic factors that may affect their clients. We've been doing this now for over a year. We're at the stage of we're now starting to disseminate and train others throughout the community here in Los Angeles.
Let me, if I could ask a question, I'm looking at the California Economic Security Standard Index, but it compares itself to the federal poverty level. The federal poverty level I mean, you cannot make a comparison. I'm curious how they're using this because
Basically, what they've done in the Elder Economic Index, which is being disseminated nationally, is that we look at what the standard of the federal poverty line is, and we say, on a typical person's life, what does it take to finance
Right.
their ability to just make it, not to do
Right.
well, but to meet housing, food, medication, transportation needs. When you look at basic elements, what you find is that the federal poverty line is extremely low because it doesn't really account for the housing costs that have shifted so radically over the last 40 years. And so that is one of the major factors that offsets. So while we may consider the person to be doing fine according to the poverty guidelines, they're actually not doing well. And we find that with other populations, not just seniors. A lot of this work was born out of work that was being done on behalf of women raising children, where we found that there was a schism between what the federal poverty guidelines stated and what was actually happening in communities to individuals. So we began the work to look at low-income seniors because part of our concern is that the message to older people is that they've done something wrong. That they
well,
haven't
all I'm
planned.
saying is that concern applies to every poor
does.
person in
It really
California. It's not just seniors. The fact is housing costs are high for everybody in California. Therefore, the federal poverty level doesn't apply to California because the needs in California are so much higher for essential services, and so typically it's double. And but how do we address it as a city is the question.
One of the ways
In
that
New
we're-
York, the mayor increased the poverty level for everybody across the board. Is that something we're going to do here?
We don't have the power to effectuate that. You might. Really, what we're looking at is what are the dynamics that are affecting seniors
Yeah.
in the community. For example, we work very hard to identify the existing benefits that are available to them. For example, Social Security, Medi-Cal, Social Security supplemental, how to maximize the use of any other resources in the community so that they can stabilize their financial situation. We look a lot about fraud and predatory practices that may actually make older adults more vulnerable. So those are the kinds of areas we look at where we can actually prevent someone from losing their assets to a point where we may not be able to assist. So right now, for the Department of Aging, we are now required in California through AB 138 that was just chaptered to actually look at economic indicators as part of our strategic planning process. So our department is very engaged in understanding and trying to figure out what strategies we could use to support older people in our community.
Okay, now we just introduced a motion to develop, actually to recognize Financial Literacy Day in California, or at least in Los Angeles, and then. But what I'd really like to do is a pilot project in financial literacy training. Tell me what are the financial literacy needs of the senior population?
Because it's
Our work in terms, our Elder Connect project really is the
I came for the signing of that.
initiative.
Are we having a dispute over here?
No, there was nothing on the door, Mr. Chairman, that said this meeting was being held here.
But you
That was
still
very
got it.
positive.
It didn't work. It didn't work. But no, we are very pleased to have Mr. Labange join us. And my question was, what are the financial literacy needs for our seniors, so that if we develop a pilot project, we can do something with seniors as well?
There are many. We would love to work with your office in shaping what a pilot could look like, because right now, we are working on a national demonstration. We're one of 20 sites looking at these very issues. It's
When you say these very issues,
the
could you be
issues
more
of
specific?
financial literacy and economic security among older adults in our community.
Okay, I would be very pleased if you could tell us what the specific targets might be if we did a pilot project. I'm thinking of finding $50,000 just to do a pilot in my district, that, and doesn't just address the senior population, but the entire population. But I would like to have maybe a small mini course on financial literacy, but I would like to target the populations correctly. I don't want seniors and then young couples just getting married. You know, I want the whole gamut of folks, including young people.
Well, we would love to work with you because we have been looking at the intergenerational issues
Yeah.
of economic security in families.
Yeah.
So we would love to work with your staff in shaping.
Well, every day, Tom and I get more and more interested in senior issues.
That's a good-
Bill Hawkins first told me.
Okay.
That's a good pre-retirement plan.
Okay, well, thank you very much, and we'll look forward to working with you on that.
Just
and
a quick
many
point
other
on that.
projects.
You work with the library department at all?
I do. Right
Okay.
now, our libraries are serving as focal points throughout the community.
Super.
For information
Good job.
on research. Actually, all 156 libraries in LA County are working with us right now.
Good job. Thank
Yeah.
you.
Okay, we don't have any cards on this issue, so we can move to item number 3.
Item number 3, Los Angeles Zoo report relative to naming the Los Angeles Zoo's bird show the Angela Collier World of Birds Theater in consideration of a donation for $700,000 to the Greater Los Angeles Zoo Association.
Afternoon. John Lewis, General Manager at the Los Angeles Zoo, and I've got Suzanne Torgensen here with me from the Greater Los Angeles Zoo Association as well. This request, Mr. Chair, is to receive this donation and develop it to renovate our bird show. The bird show is in excess of 20 years old, at least the staging and everything. It was originally designed to be fairly short-lived.
Not the birds, though.
No, not the bird.
Okay, thank you.
And it's
They
come to
come
the
and
end.
go.
They come and go. It's at the end of its life, and we have this great opportunity from the Angela Collier Foundation to receive this grant of $700,000 to completely rebuild this stage and the areas behind the stage that support the show. It's going to give us the ability to do new behaviors and demonstrations about birds and their abilities, as well as work better.
When you say new behaviors, what do you mean? I don't
Well,
understand
the
that.
show illustrates the natural abilities of a variety of different birds, their ability to fly, run, walk, catch prey, etc. So with this new stage, we'll be able to show even more behaviors to the visitors.
Okay. Sounds like fun.
Great.
We don't have any issues with naming things at the zoo.
That's why we bring it to the council. The council gives us the permission.
I don't recall any controversies related to docents naming things at the zoo. Is that
No.
okay? Well, it sounds pretty neat. I can't wait to take Camila.
Great.
Okay.
Yeah, just one thing, if, as the zoo director, urban birds, you know, especially on the Los Angeles River corridor,
Right.
is there any teaching that you could do there? Because the Los Angeles Zoo is not only a great zoo and botanical gardens, it's an educational center. So if you put that in the back of your mind, that what birds do people see in their neighborhoods? And like, does anybody hear the mockingbirds that are coming around right now? Like lately, like the last week or
Yeah,
two?
they just started arriving.
They just started arriving there. So,
Great.
I mean, all that stuff would be fun to tie in.
Okay.
And thank the Greater Los Angeles Zoo Association for this very good outreach to help in a very, was this program suspended for a while?
It will be during this construction. We're going to wait until after spring break, and then we'll start the construction. It won't be suspended, but it'll be reduced in another location while we're building the new site.
Will it be in the original site, which is the,
We're going to move it probably to the theater that's up front by the Children's Zoo.
very good, okay, good. Thank you.
Cool.
Thank you.
Okay.
Very much.
Take care.
job.
Bye-bye. Item number 4.
Hey,
Item
John.
number 4, motion Alicon Englander, Krikorian Zine, relative to providing an overview of the city-owned equine areas and related matters.
Hi.
Hi, good morning. My name is Melinda Geyer. I'm with Recreation and Parks, and I was given this assignment yesterday, so I don't have a report to
So
give
you're
you
done?
today. No, we need to coordinate with quite a few other departments and agencies in order to respond effectively to your motion. So there's 3 things that I see here. The first, which is solely Rec and Parks, is to see what is being done to maintain and operate the trails that are within city parks and get a report on that. And that's something that we can do in relatively short order. The other two items, though, one, the city planning is the lead on, and so I don't know if there's anyone here from them to
Is
talk
there?
about. I don't think so. And then the third item, which is also Rec and Parks being the lead, but has us with to promote outreach and public participation with the equine system, and that's one where I'm going to have to coordinate with quite a few other agencies and departments, so that one would be a longer response time.
Is there any reason why the planning department is not here?
I have not spoken to anyone from I don't know who the staff is going to be from the planning department on that. I need to find that out.
Okay, well, the motion says instruct the planning department with the assistance of Rec and Parks, Department of Transportation, Department of Animal Services, and other relevant department to report to this committee. Where is everybody?
Who notifies them? The clerk?
Did we invite all those people to come? Okay, then, it would be my intent to continue this matter until everybody shows up. That's exactly the problem. Nobody focuses on it, and we have a very vibrant equine community that does not get the support from city that it should. I think it's a vibrant part of our community, and it's fun to exhibit. It's
And
about
Rec-
horses.
Rec and Parks
It's
has-
about our history.
yeah.
It's about horses. It's about the future. If we're going to incorporate these notions in our future, we've got to focus. So I'm really disappointed that the Department of Planning, Department of Transportation, Department of Animal Services are not here.
Also, the Equine Advisory Group, I think, is an important asset. They're here.
Yes, they are here. Maybe I could ask Larry, as a member of the advisory committee, to step forward and actually speak, not as a public commenter, but as a partner with the city. We have Dale. You're also who's like the highest ranking member here? Dale is. Okay. Well then, Dale, you need to.
I could. Mr. Ed is the highest ranking.
Oh, come on now.
All right. Okay.
I got the biggest hat.
Okay. Okay. No more bad jokes, please.
All right, very good.
Yes,
How
Dale.
are you, sir? Thank
I'm
you
good.
very, very much. I am Dale Gibson, current president of the City of Los Angeles Equine Advisory Committee. We were formed on motion by Councilwoman Gruhl and, of course, Councilman Labange. We'd like to applaud you today on this motion, Councilman Alarcon, and your co-sponsors, Councilman Englander, Krikorian, and Zine. I know I'm preaching to the choir because I know you guys are pro-equestrians and we love you for it, but I've got just some stuff here I'd like to throw out.
Sure.
This is from the American Horse Council. The California horse industry produces goods and services valued at $4.1 billion. The national industry has a $7 billion impact on the California economy. When the multiplier effect of spending by industry suppliers, employees is taken into account, accounting for off-site spending of spectators results in even a higher figure. There's 311,000 Californians that are involved in the industry as horse owners, service providers, employees, and volunteers. Even more participate as spectators. The California horse industry directly provides 54,000 full-time equivalent jobs. Spending by suppliers and employees in California and other states generates jobs over 130,000. There are 698,000 horses in California. 70% of them are involved in showing and recreation, which is
Now, are these registered horses, or
well. This is statewide.
how do we count them?
Well, this has been through the American Horse Council. One thing we at the Equine Advisory Committee have really been pushing is licensing of horses. I know when we started the committee a couple years ago, there were less than 1,000 horses licensed in the city of Los Angeles.
And then people wonder why their land gets changed.
Well,
in the
that's
community.
we've been trying to educate people. There are 20 to 25,000 horses in the city. So that's one thing we've been pushing, and we think the city should push. That way everybody, like you two gentlemen, know how many horses are in the area. Two suggestions we have: the City of Los Angeles has no reliable information on the economic impact generated by the horse industry. We recommend an economic impact analysis that should be considered as part of this report. And we on the LEAC work with our fellow equestrians bi-monthly to help resolve issues so that the big city may exist with horse owners. We recommend adoption of your trail standards and specifications. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Larry, you represent the horses in Century Park East?
Yes, well, not the horses at Century Park East, no, but
I love that. You come out of Century. Well, where's your hat?
I'm in.
You got to have a hat, man, if you're going to serve on the committee.
Yeah, I neglected to bring one tonight.
Okay.
But what I'd like to add is on a comment that you made and how it's part of our history. I mean, the California ranchos and the cattle business of the last century depended upon the horse. And the horse still is an important part of our culture. In our area, CD11, the 32 Olympics equestrian events took place there at the old Riviera Equestrian Facility. It still continues at Will Rogers, Sullivan Canyon. And the other thing that I think is important to remember, besides the history and the fact that it's still present, is that there are a number of people doing outreach to all parts of the city, not just the west side, but in the south part of LA. Kathleen Kuzner, who is an Olympian, she was recognized by the American Horse Association as one of the top 100 equestrians of the 20th century in the United States, operates a program which she calls Horses in the Hood for poorer kids. So it reaches all elements of society. There's an active program in Sullivan Canyon, for example, that aids handicapped persons, kids and adults who benefit from the interaction with the horse. And this includes autistic kids, kids with cerebral palsy, etc. So there's a lot about horses that I think the average person may not be aware of, and its contribution to society.
You know, just to give you, when I mentioned history, I'm reminded of my grandfather. My grandfather, when he wasn't bootlegging in the 20s, he was a teamster, and I mean, he used to plow the fields of the San Fernando Valley with horses. So that was his career. He was a horse handler, and he would be farmed out to the various farms in the San Fernando Valley. So we're very familiar with horses as part of my family history. But don't try to get me on a horse, though. I love them, but it doesn't look good.
But we thank you for your support.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
just meeting the right horse.
Well, okay. Yes, that would be a challenge. In any case, the thing is, I really believe that we have so many services related to horses, so many businesses, so many recreational facilities, nonprofit organizations, and it's very discombobulated. And I believe it's discombobulated because of the urban pressure that increases. Well, what that means is if you have that kind of pressure, essentially forcing out the community or squeezing it, then you have to pay closer attention to it in order to manage it properly and ensure that it has the opportunity to be everything it can be within our boundaries. So I believe we're losing that opportunity because we're not managing it properly, and I think the city has a responsibility to organize it, to at least organize the information. So what my ultimate goal is not just to have easy access to information about horse trails on our websites at the city. But I think that's like a slam dunk. We should have done that a long time ago. It should just be done. But I also think that we should have access to a listing of all nonprofit organizations that utilize horses, that have something to do with horses. One of my pet projects is Johnny Carpenter's ranch. Johnny was a friend of mine, and the mayor introduced me. In fact, he assigned me to take care of Johnny, and I'm still doing it today, and I'm looking forward to doing it more if my district includes that area. But I want to document where all these organizations are, so that people will have easy access to them. I also like the sort of irony of cowboys using high tech stuff to support our equestrian industries and programs. But that's my goal. So I'm absolutely looking forward to working with you to accomplish that. And I don't think it'll take that much. The information is out there. It's just a question of organizing it, bringing it together, and putting it on our websites. I also think it'll enhance our efforts to get more licenses, because that is what is killing this community more than anything else.
Along with what you were saying with getting the planning department here, we've noticed during our meetings, people are just coming to us trying to get standards. Where on their property can they put their barn?
Exactly.
I want to buy a kit barn that are made out in Fontana. Can I get the kit barn? What am I going to have to go through a permit? And again, in any other industry, as you said, it would be a slam dunk because we're equestrian and we get kind of pushed around by these other departments.
Mm-hmm. And frankly, because the departments have been oriented to urban settings, they don't have the answers to a lot of those questions. I actually had that issue in my life come up, the issue of kit barns, and the department had no idea, or they wanted to impose incredible fees for these. In other jurisdictions, they charge hardly anything.
Is now trying to work with building and planning to get some of the kit barn management.
Well, I think all that information should be easily available on the web, and it seems to me that the community itself would be happy to provide that information and happy to work on putting it on our system. So that's my goal, and I want the departments to focus on this, and tell me where they are, and I need to get this thing done. And so I'm very disappointed the other departments aren't here. You're here, so thank you. But it also does call on the Recreation and Parks Department to be the vanguard on this.
On the first and third items, yes.
Yeah, well, but it's implied on the second item as well. Somebody's got to drive this thing, and because horses are in so many ways recreational uses in Los Angeles, it is incumbent on the Recreation and Parks Department to enhance that opportunity. That doesn't mean that means, I should say, that just because it may be a land use issue, if that land use issue is related to a recreational use for horses, that is Recreation and Parks' responsibility. So the Recreation and Parks needs to drive the planning department to do it right. And so I need to know from Mr. Muckery who is his horse person. I don't want to mince my words. I want to tell Muckery I need somebody to be the horse person in Recreation and Parks. I want them to know everything there is to know about horses in Los Angeles. They don't have to wear a cowboy hat, but they do have to know everything there is to know about horses. Now, maybe there's a person out there. Maybe it's you. Is it you?
No, but I feel like I'm going to learn a lot very quickly.
It may be you.
Yeah.
It may be
Kevin
you.
Reagan is the one who's in charge of this for Record Parks.
But Kevin's not here. I'm sending
I
a
understand.
message to Muckery.
Mr. Muckery.
I want people to take this seriously. And the problem with this is that people don't take it seriously. It's very important to the Northeast San Fernando Valley, but it's also very important to the stables in Bill Rosenthal's district. It's very important to Chatsworth. It's very important to, where else can I say?
Compton, right?
Yeah, the Griffith Park area.
Yeah, 56 miles. Richard, I just think what drives...
We have 90 miles of trails.
What drives people to do things is council offices. And I will appoint a deputy to be this liaison. If you appoint a deputy, get Mitch to drive the others. Recreation and Parks is really just focused on recreation and parks land, but planning should be there to protect what are K districts, what are transformations. We have someone who really is special, who's donating a significant amount of money to build a bridge across the river from North Atwater to Griffith Park to meet the trails, and they get tied up with the engineering department on that. There needs to be a trail master. There needs to be, these are terms, old terms, like a water master. There needs to be a horse master, or think of some other term. But I truly believe what has ever driven anything in this building, whatever has driven anything, it's a coalition of deputies who inform those council people, these are the needs that we have to do. And then they have these little working groups that push it, and our citizen volunteers, which are the voices and eyes and ears.
Yeah, but I want to restate it very clearly again. I expect Recreation and Parks to be the lead agency on this, because I think the horse uses in our city are at least 95% recreational. That is a recreational issue, and I don't care whether it's at somebody's home as a planning issue or whether it's a building and safety issue. It is relative to the use of horses as a recreational as recreational enjoyment, which means it is incumbent on our Recreation and Parks Department to take the lead. So I think that's an excellent suggestion, Mr. Labange.
Well, I disagree with you.
You can disagree,
disagree
but
on that. I think the planning department,
yeah.
when you talk about
Yeah.
your issues, where we lost equestrian use in Los Feliz, Silver Lake, and I was a very little child, is they got pushed out by development on Riverside Drive. Right. There was a tragic fire, and everybody said, we got to be up the river, and they went up the river. Planning department should, and Michael LeGrand is the planning director. I don't know if they listen to these reports anymore, but they should have someone in planning, because the K districts are so important, because the trails in the new modern West Valley neighborhoods and in neighborhoods throughout historic San Fernando Valley in the Northeast do have K districts that you would not have a say in as a rec and parks person, but the planning officer would have to be it. So I think that needs to be developed. Right. And I would just
wait a minute, Mr. Bonds.
Yeah.
As I was going to say before you cut me off.
Okay. We know each other
I
a long
agree that we need to have a working group. I am saying, as chair of this committee, I expect Recreation and Parks to be the lead of that working group. Now, there may be other ancillary issues that arise, like planning, building and safety, transportation, all these issues. We've got the bike trail that is conflicting with horse riders on Sunland Boulevard right now. Who thought of that? Who didn't think it through? Obviously, somebody didn't see the horse trail on the map and didn't make the connection that if you put bikes next to horses, it could be problematic. So I need for one department to be the lead, and it has to be Recreation and Parks, because they are the recreation department, and horses are, by vast majority, used for recreation in the city. That's not to say that some of them aren't employed, for example, in the movie industry, but they are used for recreational purposes. So I'm asking Recreation and Parks to, number one, convene, come back to me with the names of all the department's horse liaisons, planning, DOT, building and safety, any other departments? And of course, animal services. And I want to know the names of each of the people. If you need me to write a letter to them, I will. I'll be happy to work with you to do that. To convene a working group, to work with the is it Equine Advisory Committee? The LA Equine Advisory Committee as a working group to work with me to develop an action agenda for these items. My motion addresses the tip of the iceberg of it, but I think we can do a much more holistic program. And with that, let me go to the next. I believe you are Linda Fullerton, so we can go to the next public commenter.
Okay. I'm president of Equestrian Trails Incorporated, and we're very excited about this opportunity that you've presented to our community. Lynn Brown is out of state, and she is devastated that she's not here to speak on our behalf. But we were more than welcome to work with whomever to get, because these are battles we've been fighting for 40 years that I've been in the community.
Okay,
So-
what I would like to do is come up with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
District, council district person, so that'll be good.
looks that way. But I'd like to come up with targets like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, spreading them out to the various departments of responsibility. So, for example, who is going to put the horse trails on the web? Who is going to, and you know, we need to have one website that all the departments pitch in on to provide information for them. So, how do you get a barn? I mean, that is an
It's a communication issue.
yeah.
Different.
I don't think most people in the department. There's probably one guy in planning that knows the answer to that question.
This is a great way to get
Yeah.
everybody coalesced. So the
Yeah.
equestrian community, not to jump in, but is still fired up over the bicycle, which you led, and thank you again, sir.
Right.
And everybody's still caught up.
To protect horse trails.
So it's a good.
Period. But the bike people are still advocating we go everywhere because the state allows them to ride on equestrian trails in state parks, but we don't in the city. And it's very key we protect that.
Yeah. No, the question is that if we do not effectively coordinate, or first of all, if we don't have the centralized body of information, it makes it more difficult for us to coordinate on these issues, and that's why you end up with these conflicts that are unnecessary. We need to embrace the bicycling community, and we need to embrace the equine community, and I think we can peacefully coexist, and not only peacefully coexist, peacefully advance both causes. Yes.
I'd just like to add to Councilman
Please speak
LaBonge.
into the mic.
I'm sorry. I'd like to pick up on what Councilman LaBonge said about planning, also important element in this, because there is a trail element in the general plan, and that really needs to be kind of overhauled and brought up to date. So that's an important thing that we should create.
Maybe that's one of the top priorities.
Yep.
Okay. Well, anything else,
Yes,
Ms. Fullerton?
I know you said that you're going to take over all equestrian or review all equestrian trails and areas, but areas that were definitely left out of the list were the Tahunga Haynes Canyon or Shadow Hills. So I just want to make sure that all communities are included.
I'm sorry, you were. I missed
I
the
know.
first part of your presentation. I apologize.
I just want to I know your statements say it says all equine communities, but Lieutenant Canyon was left off the list. Haynes Canyon, which is up in Tahunga, was left off the list. Shadow Hills was left off the list. And just if they need to be listed as part of the communities.
No, I don't think they need to be
The
listed.
second thing I'd
It's just
like-
all of them.
Okay, that's good.
Yeah. There's many all over the city. We couldn't
Exactly.
list them all. Yeah.
How are we going to fund this study, or what we're going to do?
Well, we're gonna look to Mr. Muckery to tell us. I'm not asking for additional funds. I believe most of this is actually coordination
Okay.
and information gathering. If we need funding, we'll know as we go
I just know
forward.
with all the cutbacks, everybody's going to say they don't have time to do it.
Yes, we do run into that problem. It's all an issue of priorities, and this is my priority.
Okay, great. And then is there going to be any kind of a time frame that we're going to try to complete this study by?
I'm hoping it's all done before December of this year.
Very good.
Like that.
Now, here's the question I wanted to ask you. The equine tax, how many horses do you own?
I have 85 horses at my ranch.
So in Los Angeles?
It's on the-
So how much do you pay for each horse? Do you get a discount if you got a big horse family?
I have a conditional use permit, and then I urge all my boarders to license all their horses. It's only $14.
Right.
per horse.
Should that fee go up and money go to help pay for some of this? Should it be $20, $25? I know everybody, I don't know what's reasonable. I think we could look at it. We lost an effort here to try to license the bicycle, even before the rash of bike interest. I wanted to try to license bicycles and they said they didn't want to do it. It got confusing. I know all the trails in Griffith Park, when they fix them, they often go to the equine tax fund to pay for that. So that's my
Mr.
thought.
Bonds, you raise an interesting question. We might want to create, you and I might want to create a moratorium sort of where people might be able to get a one-time discount if they get their horses registered within 6 months or something. And if that happens, we'd probably generate more revenue than we did last year.
Right.
And as-
But they still need to be, as you said, Richard, at the table saying they should know that there's, how many total horses in California?
In California,
Yeah, you read it there.
980,000.
980,000. How many are registered to vote?
Registered to
All
vote?
right, no.
There are 2 per horse.
2 per horse, good job. Good job.
But that is a great idea. I mean, I
Yeah.
think the equestrians would be excited for it. as long
If you
as
know
they
the money's going there, people support it.
Right.
That's governed by an oversight of you guys.
So I have an odd question. How many horse owners are economically challenged?
Probably
Yeah,
all
I-
of them, but then to a different degree.
I know. I'm not talking about. I'm talking about in terms of poverty. We're always funding people for this and that, and one thing we don't, you never see grants for, is for helping people who have animals to maintain those animals.
It's a dark issue right now, but Hanson Dam, as you know, I'm now going to be in your council group. We're getting horses being abandoned.
Hanson Dam is in my area already. Yeah,
So
but
am I- I was
but the
looking at-
surrounding areas are not.
But now
So
there are actually people abandoning horses in Hanson Dam. That's caught too and been brought to my ranch in the last month.
well, that's exactly. So one of the things I was thinking is if there might be a way to have a program for providing licenses to low-income folks who have animals, if they can demonstrate they're economically challenged. So anyway, I think there's give me a subject, put me in a room with a bunch of people, and we'll come up with a whole bunch of ideas. The question is not so much the ideas, but the ensuring that it happens. So the next meeting is when? 2 weeks. So in 2 weeks, I would like to ask Recreation and Parks to come back with the progress on this. That is, I'd like to at least know who the people are in the departments, and I'll send a letter to each one if I have to.
That might be helpful.
Okay, well, maybe you can draft it for me and work with Marissa. And then I'd also like to start compiling a list of potential targets. The motion addresses the issue of trails.
This is to be distributed, and that goes in my inbox. You can split it.
Yeah, I had hoped to get a report that represents an overview of the city-owned equine areas and the work that is being done to maintain, improve, increase, and promote these areas. So when would the department be prepared to give that report?
Probably the meeting after next, would that be sufficient?
30, like 4 weeks from now?
Yeah.
Okay, that would be good.
Because that's, I mean, that's, in terms of the RAP-owned properties, that should be relatively easy to compile.
Pardon me?
For the properties that are under the jurisdiction of Recreation and Parks, we should be able to gather that information relatively quickly.
Right.
Yeah.
And then beyond that, you'll have to work with the other departments. But whatever you come back with is better than what we've got.
Can I just make one other suggestion,
Sure.
Mr. Elicon? Why don't we ask Planning and Rec and Parks to be co-chair? Because land use is where it's at, and they have that responsibility, and they're not here. So if you're not at a meeting, there was an old axiom John Ferraro said, you appoint them co-chair. So they should have been here. Planning is what it's all about, especially in the San Fernando Valley on land use. I just think it's a little more burdensome. You're not going to get a response. So
Well,
I would say if you write a
it's
letter to Michael
simple.
Grand.
It's a very simple reason. I chair this committee, and Recreation and Parks responds to this committee. The others don't.
I got that, but planning is responsible for that land use, and I'm sure there's a higher percentage of,
Yeah, but the
No.
problem, my history, Tom, is that when you assign a bunch of people to be co-chairs, they all point fingers at everybody else in terms of the major responsibility. If we have one person in charge,
okay,
Mr. Muckery, we get more things done.
all righty.
And but in terms of getting their participation, it's right in the motion.
Good, all right,
It
that's
is
all
in the
right.
motion.
Good.
So
Then I support it. I want to catch our city attorney before they leave.
okay. Let's see. Further move.
Chair,
Yes.
Anthony Diaz, City Attorney's Office. Do you want to
Thank you.
continue this item then to the April 4th?
Well, don't we have to pass this motion on to council?
Well, you can do that today. I just thought you were indicating that you might want to continue the motion to get a further report from.
Well, okay. So let's continue this motion to get the report back in 2 weeks, and then we'll see how we proceed from there. By the way, I take responsibility for this as well. My staff will be focused on this issue, and so please don't hesitate to ask us to help with working with the departments, and also in providing the analysis and gathering the information. I mean, we're with you on this one, okay?
I appreciate that.
Excuse me, so that'll be on the 21st at 2 o'clock here?
It's the 7th, yeah. That's correct.
2 p.m.
Right.
In 2 weeks, we're coming back with the list, and then 30 days, we're coming back with the first initial report.
Yeah, so we can have a conversation
Yes.
in a couple of weeks to see.
And get more of their departments.
Yeah, so
here.
the purpose of this meeting was really, I'm really appreciative that you came, because I consider you to be the real vanguards on this issue. And so if we can have, so the purpose was to have a conversation and see where we might want to go with this, but the goal is broader than just defining horse trails on a website. I mean, I really want us to have a concerted effort to embrace, if you will, the equestrian community as it should properly be embraced. And I think it's a great thing. There's also a lot of little controversies, a lot of the horse community is like any other community, and it's very diverse. And I think by doing this, we provide opportunities to solve some of those problems, those longstanding underlying problems that divide communities. And if we can unify the community on certain issues, I think it's good for everybody, and we can get a lot more done. So, having said all this, I do want to say, please get me your ideas of problems that you observe, because as much as I care about this, I need more information. So please feel free to if you see a problem, we use the bike trail or bike trail, that's what it's called, right? Bike trail. Yeah, we use the bike trail example,
Or bike path.
bike path example, neighboring the horse trails. That's one example, but there are others throughout the city. I'd also like to meet with you in my office just to get a better understanding of all these issues. But if you come with all the issues, that makes it very easy. Is there like a report someplace that would educate me?
We meet bi-monthly, and we're posting everything on our website through.
But isn't there's no major report ever like the one I've called for here?
Never done. As a
Okay.
Equine Advisory Committee, we've
Okay.
been working piecemeal on issues that come to us.
Now, is there a body out there that actually does this kind of work from a consultancy perspective?
I guess it depends what your scope of your question.
Well, what I've asked for is an overview of all city-owned equine areas, the work that is being done to maintain, improve, increase, promote these areas. Is there any firm that might be qualified to do that report, rather than have our? In other words, if staff comes back and says we don't have time to do this, I want to have a private option.
From Shadow Hills, we have a very strong land use chairman that
Mhm.
we like, and we are very detailed, and Bill could write something for us that shows.
No, I'm asking for an actual analysis, a formal analysis, a study, if you will.
Well,
on
I'm
this
sure we
subject.
could probably fund, certainly
well-
that sort of work has been done.
Well, what I want to say to the
Other
department,
communities.
what I want to say to the department, and you can pass this on to the other departments, that I'm willing to fund a study to make that happen. Because I really think that could be the anchor for everything we do moving forward. I might not be able to get a lot of this stuff done by the time I'm termed out, but I can get that done. And so if maybe you can come back with an understanding of what it might cost to do an analysis that would get us this information, and the bidding process and all of that. That way, you guys don't have to worry about the workload that much.
I will look into it and do what I can. Absolutely.
Great.
And we'll meet on a sidebar and come up with
We can work with the
You're
California.
going to meet at the bar? Is that what you said?
sidebar.
Oh, sidebar. Okay. Andrea liked it. Anyway, well, thank you very much.
Thank you
I think this is going to be good.
Thank you.
No, my pleasure. My pleasure. There's one other public comment card. We have Danielle Brazel.
Yes.
Hi.
How are you?
I'm good.
Oh, thank you so much.
It's-
You're such a gentleman. So I'm not speaking on any item that you just addressed, and I'll be rather quick. But
Please.
I wanted to introduce myself. I wanted to welcome you as the new chairman of this committee. It's very exciting. I represent Arts for LA. We're a regional arts and arts education advocacy organization. I'll have both, right? So we focus on advocating for increased support for artists and communities, and really for communities to have equitable access to arts and arts education throughout the county. I'm an Angelino. I grew up in the Valley.
Where?
I grew up in North Hollywood and in Reseda. So Council District 10, and I'm not sure is...
Where in North Hollywood?
North Hollywood, Tujunga, and Van Owen. Yeah. Yeah, it was an intense neighborhood.
My neighborhood.
Yeah, it's still an intense neighborhood. You did? I went to Fair Avenue. That was my elementary.
My daughter.
Yeah, it's a good school, though. It's a good school.
We're just having a conversation. We're just having a side
It's always like, where's the streets? Where did you grow up when you grew up in the Valley? So arts is my thing, and making sure that everyone has access. And the reality is that, as you know, in the city, there is not equitable access to arts and culture or to arts education. So we've been battling and working with LAUSD to maintain their elementary arts program. It's tough because elementary adult and early ed is also on the chopping block. But we work with the consortium of nonprofit partners. We work closely with the Department of Cultural Affairs. We advocate vigorously for the retention of the 1% for the TOT. We also advocate for more strategic uses of arts developer fees, because you know that money gets locked up in areas where there's development, and sometimes that development falls through and money can't be spent and utilized. And what I'd love to do is find some time when I can maybe work with you and or your deputy to talk about maybe some things that we're discussing about how to move more equitable access to arts, so that every district has a strong arts and cultural ecology.
Well, absolutely. Marissa Alcaraz is my deputy working on the arts, so please feel free to work with her. But it is a part and parcel of my history to incorporate arts wherever possible. But the sad reality is that arts are always on the edge of the budget, and they're the first things to be cut. And even in education, where it's been shown over and over again that there's a direct correlation between performance in the arts and math and science. Yet we continue to cut arts programming. Of course, we're only spending $9 a day on every student, and we're 48th in the nation. So they cut the arts programming as well. My sister works for Warner Brothers. My son is a trainer for people like Justin Timberlake, and my other sister is a costumer, and my granddaughter is trying out for the lead role in Annie on Broadway. So I am very much interested in the arts from a lot of different perspectives. And when Mayor Bradley hired me, I was the monitor for the citywide graffiti program. Well, that too.
Mural program?
The mural program, excuse me. So it's an incredible challenge, and believe me, one of the mainstays in the city of Los Angeles that has made even a discussion of the arts even possible is the 1% developer fee. But if there's no development, not a lot of fees out there. So we still have tremendous challenges in the arts, and if there's any suggestions on how we might expand our opportunities, we definitely want to hear it. So please work with Marissa and my staff, and we're happy to try and bring resources where there are none.
Well, we also know that these are the building years, right? So we've been saying, look, let's keep what we have. Let's hold the infrastructure, keep that 1% of the TOT. Let's not have any more cuts to the department. They're now totally off the general line item, right? So no general money is going to the department for staff or overhead. And then what are some of the ways that we can build stronger public-private partnerships with other foundations and whatnot? And I know that your director of the program has brought in considerable amounts of money, and I think that that will only grow in time. One thing that we're talking about doing is doing an Arts Day in City Hall, so maybe that's something that you might be interested in co-sponsoring, that we could
Sounds like
possibly just bring kind of more of that civic will, connect the arts to City Hall a little bit more.
Think that's a great idea. We could have, when we open the new South Lawn, we might want to have a big Arts Day.
Oh, indeed.
And I'm sure the mayor would embrace that notion.
Indeed.
So.
Great. Well, I'll
Okay.
follow up with Marissa, and we'll get
Please
working
do.
on that. But I wanted
Okay.
just to welcome you. I know that you have a rich history in the city, and that you have had a rich history with its cultural sectors as well. So I'm excited to be working with your office.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.
And with that, this meeting is